Hello, my name is Ecclesia Pascalina, and this is my project 1, Sociolinguistic, Diaglosia, and Code Mixing. The first slide, I will explain about introduction of sociolinguistic. Sociolinguistic is a branch of linguistics that studies the relationship between language and society. It examines how language functions in social contexts and how factors such as a culture, social class, age, gender, education, ethnic, occupation, and setting influence the way people speak. In everyday communication, people do not always use language in the same way. A person may speak formally in academic presentation, but casually with a friend. Someone may also combine multiple language in a conversation. These variations are the focus of sociolinguistics. Sociolinguistics emphasize that language is not merely a communication tool, but also a reflection of, first, identify, second, social status, third, cultural background, 4. Group member, 5. Power relationship, and 6. Situations context. Why sociolinguistic important? First, language variation. Why people always speak different depending on situation or social group. Second, language and identify. How language reflect who we are and where we belong. Third, multilingual communication. How speakers use more than one language in multilingual societies. And 5, social interaction. How social norms shape communication style. In multilingual countries, such as Indonesian sociolinguistic, become highly relevant because people often use first local language, 2. National language, 3. Foreign language. For example, many Indonesians speak Bahasa Indonesian, local language, each Sundanese or Javanese, and sometimes English. This situation creates linguistic phenomenon such as bilingualism, multilingualism, diaglosia, code switching, code mixing, language shift, language maintenance. Among these phonemia, diaglosia and code mixing are two important topics in sociolinguistic studies. Now, I will explain about diaglosia. Diaglosia refers to a sociolinguistic situation in which two language varieties are used in the same speech communicating, but for different social function. The term diaglosia was popularized by Charles of Ferguson in 1959. In diaglosia, there are usually high variety age used in formal situation, education, government, religious ceremonies, official document, characteristic, more paradigms, grammatical standards, learned through formal education. Low variety L, used in informal conversation, daily communication, family interaction, casual informations, characteristic, informal, natural daily speech, learned at home. Example of diagnosia in Indonesian. Indonesian high variety age. Formal bahasa Indonesia used in social official meetings, new broadcasts, low variety L. Local language such as Sundanese, Javanese, Batak, Minangkabau, used in homes and informal interaction. Example, at school, selamat pagi. Apakah tugasnya sudah dikumpulkan? At home, Gus Daharchan, Sundanese. The speaker changed language variety recording context. Characteristic of diaglosia. According to Ferguson, diaglosia has several characteristics. A functional distribution, Each variety has specific function. Example, formal speech, high variety, family talk to be low variety. Characteristic of diaglosia. First is functional distribution. Each variety has speech function. Example, formal speech to high variety, family talk to low variety. Literally heritage, high variety often has rich written traditions. Characteristic of diaglosia. Standardizations. High variety has more grammatical rules. Stability, diaglosia can exist of generation, and prestige, high variety usually considered more prestigious. Type of diaglosia. First is classical diaglosia. Two varieties of the same language are used differently. Example, classical Arabic versus colloquial Arabic. Extend diaglosia. Different languages are used for the different function. Example, English for academics, local language for everyday interaction. And advantage of diaglosia preserve linguistic diversity, support formal communication, maintains cultural difference. Advantage of diaglosia preserves linguistic diversity, support formal communication, and maintains for cultural difference. Definition: code mixing. Code mixing is the use of elements for different language within a sentence or conversation. This phenomenon often occurs in multilingual societies where speakers combine words or expression from another language while maintaining one main language. Example, ako lagi meeting sama klien nanti sore. In this sentence, Indonesian is mixed with English words such as a meeting and client. According to Peter Meisken, code mixing refers to the insertion of word phrases or language elements for one language into another. Type of code mixing. Insertion. Insertions occurs when speaker include words from another language into the sentence without changing its structure. Example, aku harus submit tugas sekarang. Alternation. Alternation happens when speaker move between language within the same utterance. Example, ako capek banget. I really need a break. Congruent lexicalization. Congruent lexicalization occurs when two languages are mixed more extensively in one sentence. Example, kayak project ini agak difficult but selesai cepat. Factor code mixing. Bilingual or multilingual ability. People who speak more than one language tends to mix language naturally in communication. Prestige and social image. Foreign words are sometimes used because they sound more modern or professional, such as deadline instead of batas waktu. Factor code mixing, habit and environment. Frequent exposure to foreign language through schoolwork or social media may encourage code mixing. Topic of discuss certain fields such as technology and business commonly use foreign terms like download or software. Social identify code mixing can reflect group identity or social background. Example of code mixing in daily life, people often say, besok ada presentation di kelas, tolong forward email itu, weekend ini mau healing dulu. Impacts of code mixing. Code mixing can enrich vocabulary and make communication easier. However, excessive use may reduce the use of native vocabulary and cause misunderstanding for some listener. In conclusion, impacts of code mixing can enrich vocabulary and make communication easier. However, excess use may reduce the use of native vocabulary, can cause misunderstanding for some listener. Part 2, I will explain about the diaglosia. This case show diaglosia because the student uses two language varieties in different situations. The students speak formal Indonesian during the seminar presentation but change to informal Indonesian when talking with friends. The lecturer always uses formal Indonesian because the classroom in academic setting. Diaglosia reason. The language changes because speakers adjust their speech based on the audience, situation, and social role. Formal language is more suitable for academic activities, while informal language is more comfortable for daily conversation. Meaning and function, formal Indonesians show respect, seriousness, and professionalism. Informal Indonesian creates a friendly and relaxed atmosphere among students. Diagnosia theory, according to Ferguson 105.9, people use a high variety in formula situation and low variety in formal situations. In reference for the first one question Ferguson by C.A. 105.9 Diagnosia and Fishman G. A. 119.6.7 Bilingualism with and without diagnosia. The second question is about code alternation, style shifting, code mixing, and code switching. Explanation: the discussion contains several language phoneme students mix with Indonesian and English in conversation, such as menurut saya, this is concept is very important untuk kita pakai. Some students also change language completely for English to Indonesian during interaction. Reason: this happens because the students are bilingual. English is often used for academic terms, while Indonesian is easier for casual explanation and communication. Meaning function: using English can show education and academic identity. Indonesian help listener understand the message more clearly and comfortably. Theory by Gumpers 182 explained that bilingual speaker alternate language to make communication more effective and meaningfully. And the reference is from Gumper Z, J in 182 Discourse Strategy and Poplack S 180 Code Switching Studies. Style shifting. Explanation: this phonemes is called style shifting because the student change speaking style depending on the audience. The students speak formally during class presentation but becomes informal when talking with class friends. The reason: people naturally change vocabulary, tone, and sentence structure based on social situation and relationship. Meaning and function. Formal style show politeness and respect in academic setting. Informal style help create colonies and relax interaction with friends. Theory by Labov 172 states that speech style changes according to social context and level of attention to speech. And reference by Labov Way in 172 sociolinguistic patterns and Helmus J in the 230 and introduction of to sociolinguistic. Code mixing. Explanation: the sentence aku lagi ngerjain assessment and deadline-nya besok. An example of code mixing because Indonesian and English words are combined in one sentence. A reason students often use English academic words because they are popular and commonly is used in campus life. Meaning function. Words like assessment and deadline make communication simpler, faster, and more modern. This theory by Myskin 200 explain that code mixing commonly appear in bilingual communities. It is referenced by Myskin P200 bilingual speech and Hoffman C in 191 an introduction to bilingual code switching explanation. This chase an example of code mixing based the student changes from Indonesian to English and then returns to Indonesian during discussion reason. The speaker switch language to explain concept more clearly and appropriately meaning function. English is used academic explanation, whilst Indonesian help listeners understand example more easily. Theory by Myers Content 119.3 explained that speakers switch language based on social goals and communication needs. Dialect explanation. This chase show dialect variation because students from different regions are uses different pronunciation, vocabulary, and intonation. The reason is dialect differences are influenced by regional background, culture, and local community, meaning and function. Dialect helps speakers show their identify and cultural background. Theory by Truth Gill 200 explained that dialect variation in connects to social and regional difference. Reference is by Truth Gill P200 Sociolinguistic and Wardau R 210 an introduction to sociolinguistics.